the clip, the chop, hoodie removal. Some might even call it the Sharpie special. Well, you guys know what I'm talking about today, and I'm not going to say what it actually is because YouTube. Anyways, this is a topic that I've, had plenty of discourse about recently in my personal life, whether it be with my friends, my family, my coworkers. Sorry, boss. But either way, I've been very surprised at the fact that I've had discourse because I'm just going to show my hand here. I don't necessarily believe that hoodie removal should be the norm in America. However, for some reason it is. And for some reason, a lot of people will vehemently defend it, no matter what I say. So I decided to make a video about it and just, give you a better idea of where I stand on this topic because everyone on the internet definitely cares about my opinion. Anyways, just to set the stage for you guys, I did a quick Google search before I press record just so that I can be a little educated on what exactly the stats are right now. And it's looking like approximately 64% of newborn male babies are getting peeled in the United States on a day-to-day basis. Just about 64%. It's kind of a large number, especially for a practice that is originally rooted entirely on religion. Now, as we all know, religion has just, for the most part, specifically Christianity, been on a decline in America, over the time. It's just, I don't know, separation of church and state. I don't know what to tell you. That's just how things work. But there's, for some reason, there's still like this strong inclination for everyone to continue to peel their newborn babies. And I think a lot of it just comes from tradition. And whenever I had this discussion with people, I really try to get a better understanding of where exactly they're coming from and why exactly they believe that they should not be allowing their children, or they should be allowing their children, to continue to get hoodwinked on a day-to-day basis. Now, whenever I have this discussion with, let's just say, my friends, for example, or my family, or even my coworkers, again, sorry, boss. I did not mean to have that awkward conversation with you in the office. That was really weird. But anyways, most people fall into two separate camps, or really two separate lines of argument when it comes to why we should continue to allow the clip to happen to little boys everywhere. For one, there's the more scientific reason, the more medical reason. A lot of people say that there's a hygiene concern, that there's a hygienic concern. Apparently getting rid of the hoodie makes it a little bit easier to keep things clean down there. I'll get into why I don't necessarily subscribe to that belief. I mean, definitely it makes it easier, but I mean, the really easy argument that I have against that is why not just allow them to, learn how to clean themselves properly. I don't think it's hard to just go ahead and, take your hoodie off temporarily and go ahead and wash your head and then go ahead and put your hoodie back on. That's just how things work. That's what everyone does. We all do it that way. That's how we all live our lives. I don't really know why you have to completely, take off the hoodie altogether in order to, clean your head. It doesn't really make any sense. Hopefully that wasn't too suggestive. Hopefully, YouTube understands. But anyways, that's the main argument that I hear from a lot of people. And then there's a second argument, which I think is a lot more valid, but also still kind of stupid. And the other argument is that a lot of people just say that it just looks better without a hoodie. Now, I get it. With a hoodie, might not look the best. But I will say that there's this very special thing that's called, when it's time to go ahead and spring into action, best believe the hoodie comes off. Okay, I don't really know what I'm talking about right now. But seriously, though, it does just come off. So I don't really understand that argument. But, maybe I can get it a little bit, but it's just not an argument that I really feel super strongly about. On the other hand, when it comes down to the argument of keeping the hoodie permanently, there's just one really special fact that comes with this hoodie that just, everyone comes with whenever they're born. Well, every man. It's just the fact that it's a part of you and it's there. Why get rid of it? I mean, I really don't have much else to say other than that. Why just get rid of it, especially without the consent of that baby? That baby can't really consent to that. Maybe that baby's going to miss the hoodie later on. Maybe the baby really wants the hoodie. At the end of the day, the hoodie actually has benefits. There's a reason why it's on our body. It actually helps prevent infection. It helps protect the precious head, and then also getting rid of the hoodie as a result of you essentially being desensitized to not having that protection there. You lose some sensation there. So, I mean, overall, it just doesn't really seem to be a lot of benefits to it outside of maybe, if you keep the hoodie on all the time and you don't ever do anything about it, I guess things get a little dirty there. Maybe you'll get some dandruff or something and you need to get that removed and it gets sticky and it's really tough. But again, that's just something that's very easy to prevent by doing something called showering every day, which is an American custom. So I don't really understand a lot of the arguments against it. And really, it really comes down to this really basic fact that I think that it really just comes down to this mentality to where everyone just does it. So why am I going to be the person that doesn't for the most part? Now, obviously, there's been a large amount of people that don't have it done to them. It was only about 64% of newborns that have it happen, but that's still a significant population considering that the, religions don't necessarily match up to all of the actual procedures that are being done. So with all of that being said, I do actually want to make something very clear. I don't want to keep this up in the dark. I don't really think it's that big of a deal for me to reveal this, but guess what, guys? I don't have a hoodie. I am permanently without a hoodie. Actually, this hoodie that I have on right now, this is fake. It doesn't exist. I do not have a hoodie, guys. I don't have one. Am I necessarily upset that I don't have a hoodie? I mean, to a certain extent, a little bit. But am I actually mad? No. I mean, I honestly am kind of glad that I don't have a hoodie simply because, based on everyone's reactions whenever I talk about it, it seems like no one really seems to like the hoodie to begin with. So even though I really feel strongly about the fact that we shouldn't get rid of the hoodie, there really is this really interesting point to be brought up in society to where if everyone as a whole doesn't like something, you're just going to naturally go ahead and go towards where society is. Otherwise, you're just going to be alone all your life. You're just going to be a contrarian. You're going to be the, what do you call it? I don't know. Is it the alpha wolf? It's not the alpha wolf. Is it the sigma or is that the omega? You're basically just going to be the outcast. No one wants to be the outcast. So at the end of the day, I'm glad that I don't have a hoodie for that simple reason. And it's like crazy for me to say it in that way, but it's honestly the truth, and like the closest comparison I can make to it is let's take the iPhone, for example. This is my iPhone. This is what I use every single day, probably for hours every single day, just like every other person on earth. Right. There are people, or honestly, that I don't even know if I consider them people. I think they're less than human, honestly, but there's this like subset of like things that use these things called androids. And whenever you try to communicate with these things out in any capacity, there's these green text bubbles that pop up. And it's just absolutely disgusting. It makes it so that I don't ever want to text that person again. Like, ew, it's touching my phone. Why is it so green? But seriously though, like in all seriousness, there is an actual social stigma to owning an Android. Like I have several friends in my personal life to where they're just not in group chats simply because if we add this person to the group chat, the text bubbles are going to turn green. So in that way, we as a society have decided iPhones are what's in. iPhones is what everyone should use. Let's go ahead and have everyone use this. And we just agree that is just what we're doing. If you're doing something different, you're going to be excluded from certain things. So it's almost like a silly thing when you think about it in the form of iPhones, because it's like, yeah, who cares about an iPhone? Like, we all decided to do iPhones. That's okay. It's not like anything bad's going to come of that necessarily. But the reason why I like to bring this up is because it really goes into this whole mentality of like, herding. Kind of like we're sheep in a way. Kind of like we're all just following these societal norms without truly understanding why we have these societal norms. So if we're to go back to the Sharpie special, for example, that was something that was put into place mainly for religious reasons. However, most people, Lord knows most people, are not Jewish. Most people don't participate in that religion. Most people don't actually have an actual reason for wanting to do the hoodie removal other than the fact that everyone else does the clip. If everyone else is doing the chop, why not just go ahead and have my son get the chop? And it makes sense, in the same vein with iPhones. I'm going to go ahead and get an iPhone because everyone else has an iPhone. That means that I can play iMessage games with people. That means that I'm going to have more friends as a result. So all in all, this is kind of a somewhat silly video about the topic. Just again, I want to make it very clear. I don't believe in hoodie removal. I don't. However, if that's what society as a whole has decided, then who am I to say anything about it other than for me to just vehemently be against it, but secretly am glad that I have it because it makes me one of us, or whatever, right? But at the end of the day, it does bring up an interesting discussion of, let's take the iPhone example again. Who really cares that we're all using iPhones? It's just like it's kind of cool we're all using iPhones, whatever. That's not like a really serious thing where we all decided that this is what we're going to go as a society. But, I would just like for us to think about some of the more important things in society, especially when it comes to our politics, when it comes to our government, when it comes to other things in our lives. Maybe this will be something to help encourage more people to just subscribe to more free thinking, to subscribe to actually thinking through why we as a group decide to do certain things. And maybe it'll allow us to, I don't know, metaphorically wake up. I guess the term woke is kind of dead nowadays, but you know what I mean. Just essentially just have a better understanding and really just break out of what practices we're doing just for the sake of doing them, especially when there's something better on the other side. So I don't know. Again, I just thought it would be something interesting to just think about, just talk about. Interesting thought experiment. If you guys have anything similar to that you think would be interesting to just go into the whole sheep and herd mentality thing about, any discourse you would like to have in the comments, please go ahead and put that below. I am excited for that kind of thing. I love to have a good argument. I love to have a good discussion about this kind of thing. I love talking about society. But if you reach this point in the video, I would also really encourage you, just as an attendance check, go ahead and hit the like button. I would really appreciate that. But with that being said, you guys have yourselves a damn good one.